I do use AI for ideas, sometimes for advice on marketing or publicity if I'm not sure. It kind of puts me in the right direction, and then I have to add my own kind of brainstorming with what it tells me.
Hello, everyone. Today, my guest is Maria Liberati. Maria, thank you for your time. Please introduce yourself and tell us more about your companies.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. And my companies are The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati, which is my trademark. And it encompasses a book series and a trademark for that we license for food products. And Art of Living Prima Media is, well, it started out as a publishing company, but now it is a multimedia content creation company. And let's see, Art of Living, and then I have another company that I am working on that is not yet to fruition, but it's an Airbnb company that will kind of further along my brand by offering stays at Airbnbs that have luxury products. I'm also a marketing consultant for luxury brands and influencer as well. So, yes.
Anything else, Maria? I mean, listen, you just gave me a whole list here. Anything else you want to add to the list? That's awesome.
Well, I do speaking engagements and consulting, and so I can add
Well,
that.
it's safe to say that you're a busy woman.
Yes, definitely.
Well, listen, let's dive into some questions here.
Yes.
So, for those who don't know, you went from international supermodel to award-winning chef and author. So please tell us more about what sparked that career shift.
So I was in Italy modeling, and the food was just so inspirational. I was modeling there, but also was I had the privilege of being able to kind of discover all my family, all my roots in Italy, and did find out that actually on my dad's side, my grandfather and his family have had a vineyard in the mountains of a region called Abruzzo, which is kind of in the center, a little bit to the south of Italy. And they also sold local cheeses and bread. So I basically spent time there and studied that everything there. And then my dad's mom, her family had a bakery, and in another part of Italy, the region known as Molise, which is also kind of in the south. So I ended up studying that and just kind of dabbling in that. And then a famous painter artist in Italy had asked to do a portrait of me, and his family owned they lived in the region where they produce, if you've ever heard of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. So his family was really very involved in all phases of the production. So I got to stay with him and his wife at this beautiful place in Reggio Emilia, which is the region that they produce this. And while I was there, I got to, because he was painting my portrait, but I got to also meet everyone and, study this Parmigiano Reggiano making process. And it just really, all of this all together really just sparked my interest in food. And I also, I was, I would eat at like cousins and relatives' house, and there were cousins that were not chefs, but they cook like they were so into food there that they cook like professional chefs. I couldn't believe it. So I ended up going to culinary school there in Italy after a while, and then working with some chefs and studying with chefs and doing lots of cooking programs at vineyards throughout Italy. So That was kind of, and then, it was just, as I said, when you're there, it's just so inspirational. So it really inspired me to do a book, but I just thought, I grew up around that all my life. I was in, I had a big Italian family, and we always cooked together on Sundays. So I just thought everybody did that. But so I'm like, I had people telling me to write a book, and I'm like, but it's Italian cooking. Like, everybody knows how to do that. Everybody knows about that. I didn't turn this off. So I ended up finally doing a book, because I'm like, you know what, maybe I should, because so many people kept telling me. So I finally ended up doing a book, and I learned that, when I would travel around, I learned that people did not everybody experienced that. It was kind of a funny thing for me, because I'm like, oh wow, not everybody experienced that. Everybody didn't live that way. I just kind of took it for granted that everybody knew, and everybody had these big Italian families that they cooked with on Sundays. And I realized I was actually privileged to have that, and to have that experience. So, because when I would tour, with a lot of my books, people would ask me about that, and they were so fascinated about that. So that's how I ended up doing a book series. I finally did my first one, and then it went into a few other books. So I have about 10 now. But
Wow. And your books are about recipes, or?
well, they're culinary. I kind of call them culinary travel memoirs. So they're not just recipes, because I always felt that, recipes are kind of just really boring.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and also Italian cooking, like other cultures, food is so connected to their culture. And there are so many stories that I think makes the recipe so interesting. So I wanted to include that. So the books really include stories of maybe the places that the recipes are from,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
a memory that the recipe, is from, and just so it's more than, they're not just recipes. They're also more like memoirs.
Uh, I mean, listen. This is listening to you. It kind of feels like you're. I'm in a movie. I can picture the scenes of, like, what you said in the movie. It's
Yes,
pretty awesome. So from, like,
yes, yes.
supermodel to becoming a chef just because you get inspired by family Sunday cooking, to later on writing books about the cooking. Listen, so simply amazing. So obviously now you wear multiple hats,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yes.
As you mentioned at the beginning, you have a bunch of different business ventures. When you mentioned chef, marketing consultant, entrepreneur with the Airbnb business, etc. So how do you manage all this? And the main topic, as you know, for us here at Brightline AI is AI. So
Yes.
how do you manage all this? And do you use any tools, any AI tools,
Uh-huh.
to help with things like, content creation, your recipe formatting, or anything at all?
So I do, one tool that I use, that whenever I've spoken to entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs, I always tell them a lot of my new ideas, actually before AI, I would find through, I work with a lot of the universities around the country, developing
Hmm.
internship programs in publicity, journalism, marketing. So, and I do the internship programs remotely, but so that I is one way that I kind of come up with new ideas for, oh my goodness, for social media and marketing, publicity. I do have internship programs that I develop and work with the universities. That's one thing. As far as anything else, like managing, I don't really have what you would call like tons of employees. I do use a lot of freelancers.
Hmm.
I do use a lot of freelancers, as mentioned, different consultants. And I do use for ideas, as I was mentioning to you before, I do use AI for ideas. And as I mentioned, the ideas basically you have to kind of tweak them because AI isn't always, excuse me one second, I just wanted to turn off my sound. AI isn't always exact. So I find that, and it could be because I'm just learning how to use AI. I know you need to know the language and the correct prompts to know what questions to ask when you're asking. But a lot of times for just ideas, sometimes for advice on marketing or publicity, if I'm not sure, I might ask it, and then it kind of puts me in the right direction, and then I have to add my own kind of brainstorming with what it tells me. But I do use AI for some things, and I could really see how in the future it could really streamline a lot of tasks.
Of
So
course.
I could really see that. Of course, as I mentioned, the books that I have that we've published were all written before AI came into play. So we haven't used AI for that. But I could see how AI maybe could be used for editing. We haven't used it for that yet. We haven't come that far because I do have freelance editors that I use all around the globe, but I can see how, you could use it for a task like that. But again, you do have to know the correct prompts so you know exactly, you have to tell it exactly what in a way that the AI understands what you really need.
Of course. I
So,
mean, listen, you know more than most, I would say. When it
uh-huh.
comes to the prompting, obviously it is very important. And I mean, I think we can all agree that AI is still at its infancy stages right now.
Yes.
Progress is quick. It's
Yes.
happening day to day.
Yes.
But I think we have a lot that we have yet to see. So I'm
Yes.
excited for it, and I think to your point, it will be able to help in a lot of tasks, a lot
Yes,
of everyday
definitely.
tasks.
Yes, definitely. I think it will. And there are people still out there that are like, oh, I guess they just don't realize what it does, or but they just, I mean, business people that I've talked to that think
Hmm.
it's like, a terrible thing to use, and it's going to become the way of the future. It is the way now. So, I think you really have to start learning
Of
how to
course.
use it. Yes.
If you're resistant right now to adapt, you will have to later on. So you might as
Yes.
well, start adapting now.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yes. So,
So, I mean, listen, you, I want to go back to like, to the multiple hats that you wear. Is there
uh-huh.
a specific area that you enjoy more than others?
Well, I just enjoy being like a serial entrepreneur. I love having control of my own companies,
Hmm.
and I actually like the creative aspect when I get to do the creative aspect like creating content
Hmm.
and marketing. Finding ways to market. I really enjoy working with the luxury brands that I've gotten to work with now. So I really enjoy the creative aspect. I think more than anything, creating content and both video, multimedia content. I really enjoy that a lot.
And I mean, listen, it's apparent. Just listening to your story,
Uh-huh.
it's pretty impressive to see the different hats that you wear, and I just seeing your answer right now. It's this is what drives you. Wearing multiple hats, being an
Yes.
entrepreneur, and having like you're just being involved in different industries because we're talking
Yes.
about being a chef. We're talking about like interior decor consultant.
Yes.
So that's a lot. I mean, so all that being said, you've built a lot of brands through through your culture in storytelling, right?
Right.
So, what advice do you have for others looking to connect deeply with their audience, whether it's like, from branding or anything else that you feel that set you apart in your career?
Well, I think one of the most important things was that, and you're mentioning like I wear all these different hats. I find I had told you I do like work with a lot of students. I develop internship programs. There are a lot of students that think that because they're studying, let's say graphic design, that's all they have to know about. But if you really want to excel in whatever you do, especially as an entrepreneur, you really have to have exposure to many things that can relate to. So even though, sure, I went to school to be a chef, but I also studied languages, and I studied public relations, I studied marketing. So all of that really works with what I'm doing. The books, I have to know about marketing, even though I have to, I write my books and I write about food too and travel. But so you need to really be well-rounded and know about a lot of different things, not just one thing. Because if you think, okay, and I do know a lot of chefs that are excellent chefs, but they don't excel at what they like. They try to open a restaurant, but if you don't know about business or marketing or many other things, you just can't do it. It doesn't matter that you're a great chef. You have to have all those other tools, and that really goes with anything that you do. So I think the most important thing is to be really well-rounded and try to get exposure to as many things that can relate to whatever it is, that you want to do.
So, I mean, listen, this is great advice, but how do you come up with this? Because I'm sure that, like, you didn't have, well, maybe you did, but I think
Right.
most of us, don't have that plan. They're not gonna say, hey,
Right.
listen, you know what? I want to start a book one day. I want to be a chef one day. I want to be an interior design one day. So let
Right.
me do X, Y, and Z to make
Right.
sure that I actually have all the knowledge I need to do
Right.
all these things. Things kind of like fall into place. So,
Right.
and then you decide, oh wow, okay, good thing I've done this because it's coming in handy. How did it go for you? Is it that you have a plan, or did it
It
just kind of
just,
like happen?
no, it really wasn't a plan. So I went to the university to be, I studied languages. I was studied French, Spanish, Italian, and English. And my original plan was to be to teach English as a second language, and then I was like looking at a career as a translator. While I was in college, I kept going back and forth. But hey, the languages, knowing Italian and French, really helped me when I studied to be a chef. So as far as what you're asking, things just kind of fell into place. But I'm not necessarily recommending that people. I guess it's kind of difficult to explain. I'm not necessarily recommending that you just go and put your hands into 50 zillion different things. Things just kind of fell into place for me. But I'm not recommending people do it in that way, but just to get some exposure to, I'm more or less saying if you're a student and you're studying at school, if you're studying, I don't know, as I mentioned, like just graphic design, see if you can get exposure to learning a little bit about marketing and some other areas that might be related to, say, graphic design. Because, like, even building a website, if you're a graphic designer, you have to know about SEO and marketing. If you don't know about that, you're kind of pigeonholing you into this like one career. So not necessarily saying that you should, get your hands in all these different things, but to get some exposure to a lot of different fields that relate to your career, so that you'll definitely be ahead of the crowd and be more successful. By I actually, yes, I was just fortunate that things kind of just fell into place for me. So that way that I just found my way. It's like, yeah, let me write the book. And actually the book became successful, and that's what I have, this entrepreneurial mindset. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just start my own publishing company, because as an author, it's really not that great out there if you're letting other companies publish your books. So with my entrepreneurial mindset, I just decided, hey, I'm just going to do my own publishing company. So that's how I ended up doing that. And it started out with my own books, but now we actually are getting into translating. I just did a translation, an Italian translation of an award-winning book from Italy. It's our first book. And so, and then we have somebody that we're getting into the kind of teen book series, and I have an author that wrote a book. So we're expanding into other fields.
So how does the Kindle impacts actual physical books?
How does Kindle impact that? Well, now there's also the audio. Well, it's not now; it's been, but audio books. So as far as how Kindle, yes, there's not with Kindle. If your books are on Kindle, a lot of times you're not even getting paid for that, for them reading it, because Amazon has all these different programs. So, if you're doing books, you really want to find other ways. For instance, I created a trademark around my book. So you have to always come up with creative ways. So many people, they write a book and they think that they're going to just put the book out there and it's going to be a million seller, and that's all they need to do. And it's not. You need to come up with other ways to market your book, and other ideas, other ways to market your book.
And do your agencies that you work with use AI in any way to market these books, or how do you market your books?
Mainly through my channels, so my podcast, because I have enough channels now, my podcast, Roku, the binge networks, my blog, my website, social media. That's mainly how I market the websites. That's why I develop those all those channels as much as possible. And that is really time consuming. Social media is really time consuming. It's really changing. So when I started my blog back in I think it was 2007, everything was just very easy. Here's your blog, you write your blog, and it goes online. Then so many things start. Now it's so technical, and there's all kinds of things. So it's very time consuming with, now with social media, and social media has gotten very time consuming. So all of those channels I've developed myself, because if you're going to go out and pay, say, for advertising, then maybe you can spend that money on your own marketing and use those channels for your own advertising. So, and I'm not saying I don't pay for advertising. I have used some advertising stuff, but I favor, if I'm gonna, if there's marketing, if there's money I have to put out there for marketing, I try to analyze it and see, are these dollars going to be am I going to go further if I invest those marketing dollars into my own website or social media or streaming videos, or marketing, and use those channels to get my own, books out there. So sometimes that makes more sense than just outright paying for marketing. So,
I mean, listen, this is the amount of experience you have in different areas is truly impressive, Maria. I think, just to wrap us up here, what's next for you? I feel like every few years or so you have a new venture, so we discuss a few of them. So what's the next thing
I
for you?
just jump on whatever's things just keep coming up, and it's like, wow, I have to get into that. So I had mentioned that I'm developing chain of Airbnbs that will be marketing, will be collaborating with other brands. So the Airbnbs will have products from some of the luxury brands that I work with. So to give people like more of an experience when they stay at the Airbnb. So I'm just developing that now, and then I do have my another book that's coming out. So I'm constantly trying to, I have a lot of material that I have not released, so I'm trying to, it does take a while to release a book, so so many so many facets, so many things involved. So another book, and then we're working with another author that bringing her book on, and geez, and streaming video. I'm developing another some more streaming video content for my streaming video show that's on Roku and the Binge networks, and we have a YouTube channel also. So right now, those are the main things that I'm working on, in my podcast.
Of course, of
So
course.
uh-huh.
I mean, listen, Maria, can't thank you enough for your time. It was amazing learning about your background, your business
Uh-huh.
ventures,
Uh-huh.
and listen, good luck with everything. Seems like you have your hands full, and I have no
Yes.
doubt that everything that you touch will be successful.
Yes, great, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Thanks.